I'm Flyin Brian J. This video is brought to you by MMAmania.com, and we're talking about the rematch between Max Blessed Holloway and Jose Jr. Scarface Aldo. It's the main event of UFC 218. The first fight happened at UFC 212, where Max Holloway finished Jose in the third round via TKO. That was almost exactly 6 months ago. Instead of saying what could happen, let me tell you what I saw from the first fight and how it could be different in the rematch. How it could be different is I think that Jose threw like 0 leg kicks, and of course he is known for those leg kicks. After the fight was over, one of his coaches said that he had a leg injury, that's why he didn't throw them. But at one point his coach said that the reason he wasn't going for those leg kicks was because he was afraid that Max was going to counter those with punches. And I think that we could see a similar thing here. Sure, Jose could go for those, but if he does go for those leg kicks with his right leg against the lead leg of Max Holloway, which Max is going to be in the orthodox stance too, like he was in the last fight, it's going to really open up Jose to the right straight from Max Holloway, which that is the strike that knocked Jose down and ultimately got the finish for Max Holloway. What could be different also is Jose is coming in on somewhat short notice because he's filling in for Frankie the Answer Edgar, and Jose didn't have great cardio in the last fight. Of course, famously, Jose doesn't do well in the championship rounds. But what I really noticed in the last fight just 6 months ago was Jose slowed dramatically after the end of the first round. Now, there was a point in the first round where he seemed to have stunned Max a little bit and he emptied his gas tank, trying to get that finish, and to no avail, of course. But going into the second round, it seemed like Max was the fresher fighter. It also seemed like Max had figured out Jose and had gained a little confidence. If you've been hanging out with me in my live videos on MMA Mania's Facebook page, you know that I said I think that Max is going to finish this fight sooner this time, because Max is one of these guys that he just takes a little bit to figure his opponent out, and then he turns up the volume, and then he'll get the finish with a barrage of punches. But he's already fought Jose, and it was his last fight, so basically this fight in the first round, the very beginning, will just be like starting the fourth round of the first fight, sort of. You get what I'm saying though, right? So Max should be already figured Jose out, and then he could go in for that finish earlier. But those leg kicks of Jose, if he throws them, that could stymie the offense of Max a little bit. And then that explosivity that I mentioned in my last video for this fight breakdown that Jose has, he's going to have that early, and my oh my, when he's fresh, that explosivity, it could finish really anybody in the world at 145 pounds. Even though Jose lost that last fight, it doesn't take away that he is, as of right now, the greatest featherweight fighter in the history of the UFC. I think that Max is going to come out with a similar game plan against Jose, try to weather that early storm, and then like he did in round 2 of the first fight, he's going to start having more success with his counters. Jose used that explosivity in the first round of the first fight, and Max wasn't able to counter him. In the second round, Max was able to counter with left hooks, and then in the first round, I'm going back and forth, I guess, kind of rambling. In the first round, Jose was able to use his feet to get away from the barrage of punches that Max was throwing, or the striking techniques, the flurries. But in the second round, Jose started to be stationary with his feet and just use his torso to dodge punches, and then when Max came in, he would clinch him and then try to knee to the body. Once that happens, I think that Max is going to take over this fight, and I don't see it going much differently than the first time, but I'm going to go away from my initial gut reaction, which you should never go against your gut, but I think it might take Max a little longer this time to finish Jose, because maybe those leg kicks will be in play here if it's true that Jose had injured his knee the first time. If it's not true that he injured his knee the first time, then I think Max would win earlier, because he could counter those kicks if Jose is going to throw them, because a lot of people have been talking about the lack of those low kicks from Jose in that first bout. Ultimately, I said a little later, but I'm still going to go Max Holloway via KO or TKO in round number 3. No, it's not later, but you get what I'm saying. I think that Max will live through that early onslaught, start to counter, and when he does, it's going to be good night Irene, as Michael Schiavalo would say, and Max Holloway. And still, tell me who you're picking in the comment section down below. Please give the video a good old cheeky little thumbs up. See you in my next video. Namaste.